Welcome back to our continuous coverage of the 2024 mid-year budget review presentation by the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. The Finance Minister has delayed. It's just a few minutes to 2 p.m. Why has the budget presentation delayed? We'll find out from our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. This will tell us how we're doing fiscally. The Finance Minister will present to us what the fiscal performance of the country is looking like. Is the economy really turning the corner like they say? The third tranche of the IMF bailout has arrived in the country. What has this done so far? Is the city going to see a better appreciation in the coming days? Let's head to Parliament and find out what's happening in Parliament. We understand that some members of the minority were not present. Is the minority present now? Is the majority also there in their numbers? When is the Finance Minister expected to present the budget presentation? Ibrahim Al-Hassan is our correspondent. He joins me via Zoom. Ibrahim. Okay, so we lost Ibrahim Al-Hassan there, but let me tell you a number of things that I expected in this particular budget presentation. Like I mentioned, economic performance update, insights into GDP growth, inflation rates, and the overall fiscal performance within the first half of this year. We've seen the third tranche of the IMF, like I mentioned, but what does it do? The Finance Minister promised that we're going to see a better appreciation of the city. The city currently stands at 15 cities, 50 pesos. Is this what the Finance Minister meant by an appreciation of the city? We also want to expect revenue expenditure adjustments. Now, there are advices. I beg your pardon, why did I just say advice? There's advice by the business community that there should be revision to budgetary allocations based on economic conditions. Are we going to see that? Then we want to also see updates on the debt restructuring program and its implications for the national debt to GDP ratio. We also want to see reports on ongoing projects under the Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication Program, the IPEC, the domestic revenue mobilization strategies to enhance revenue generation and reduce reliance on external funding. Now, there are a number of businessmen in the country and analysts who say that the Finance Minister may not introduce any new taxes. Is that our reality? What if there is a surprise? What if the Finance Minister introduces new taxes? Will it be suicidal like some economists have predicted? We'll hear from the Finance Minister in a bit. We also want to look at plans to boost agriculture. This is our mainstay as a country. We also want to look at industry. A lot of businesses have folded up. A lot of businesses are struggling as a result of our current forex rate. We also want to see plans on tourism. Now, mind you, we've introduced year of return. What has become of the year of return? What has it done to our economy? How has it improved our revenue generation? What is the step being taken to ensure that we accrue more revenue from that particular sector? And then we also want to look at our digitalization drive to economic growth. Let's head to Parliament. Our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Ibrahim Al-Hassan, joins me. Ibrahim, tell us what's the mood in Parliament. When is the Finance Minister expected to present the budget? Do we have our full presentation of members in Parliament? Do we have members of the diplomatic corps still present? Members of the business community still present?
Here, and that was because the bell had been told. We told that a number of issues were discussed there, but of course, one issue that we got wind of had got to do with the District Assembly Common Fund, which has been in arrears for 4 quarters, and that is the last quarter of last year, together with the whole of this year. No release whatsoever has been made to the District Assembly Common Fund. And I wonder why the MPs have a particular interest in this. They have a stake in there because there is the MP share of the Common Fund, which is about 5% of total releases to the various assemblies. And these are the funds that the members of Parliament use to embark on their activities in their constituencies, be it projects. I'm talking about physical projects, brick and mortar projects, or soft projects such as payment of school fees and granting of scholarships and buying of exercise books and some other stationery for their constituents. And so the members of Parliament, especially given the fact that this is just the final lap before they return to their constituents and ask for their blessing to be returned to the ninth Parliament, they did not take this line down at all relative to their arrears. And mind you, this is not just a minority crusade. There are many majority members of Parliament who have suffered the same fate. But of course, typical of happenings in Parliament, usually when there is choboi, it comes from the minority, and the response will obviously be also from the minority. But behind the scenes, you have the backing vocalists from the majority side saying the same choboi and then responding yo. And so, as you can see, there's camaraderie. I can see Muntaka Mubarak, Member of Parliament for Asanwase, in tete-a-tete with the running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Dr. Matukuku Prempe. In that conversation as well is James Kuluchabeji, the Member of Parliament for Ketu North, and then the Chairman for the Public Accounts Committee. The Deputy Minority Leader, Emmanuel Kufibua, MP for Elembele, equally there. And you can see, of course, Gavin Kwame Abuja in a conversation with the Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation, of course, Queensta Soya, of course, a Member of Parliament for Infansiman East there as well. Hanred Risu as well in a conversation with Napu, as you can see, in a warm hug. Dr. Kesela Tufosin just walked in, and you can see Samson Ahi with the Sanitation Minister, as I mentioned. Mr. Speaker has just made his way. In fact, he's making his way to the chamber as we speak, and so there's that loud declaration of the entrance of the Speaker of Parliament. And mind you, this is a special occasion, so typical, the Speaker will be expected to be in a robe, and of course, but today he didn't, and he's in a kente with symbols that look like the Jinyame symbol. And I can tell you, he's dressed as a Togbi, yes, a Togbi from the Volta region, with some shining, call it headgear that he's wearing, a crown, so to speak, that he's wearing, with huge beads in front of him, made of gold. Of course, it looks golden, so the assumption is that it's made of gold. And of course, this is an Ashanti king. If you look at the dressing properly, you can tell that the Speaker has today dressed like an Ashanti king with his crown and some beads as well. In fact, like I said, when you look at the dressing, the fact that he's not wearing anything under, right? If he had worn anything under, you can be rest assured that this could qualify to be the dressing of a Togbi, right? But the way the Speaker is seated and the crown on his head, from afar, you cannot mistake to also say that he is a chief from the Akan enclave as well. So the Speaker has taken his seat, Gavel has fallen, and what we witness and what we can see is that proceedings are about to start, basically. So what we are about to take will be the prayers. Yes, the prayers.
We humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that we may perform this hard duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and duly served, and that two purposes of a joint human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving. A country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality, inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen.
You know the rules and regulations everywhere.
Honorable members, in view of time constraints, we will not have roll call today. And I don't have any message from His Excellency the President. Neither do I have a formal communication today. And so we'll move straight to item 5, correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We will start with the correction of votes and proceedings of Monday, 22nd July 2024. Page 1. Page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, page 11, page 12. Yes.
Madam Speaker,
Tamale South.
Madam Speaker, page 12 on the Affirmative Action Gender Equality Bill 2024. Where we deleted achievement and inserted attainment. It was for the second deputy speaker who was presiding to direct that the draft person will take care of it in every other clause where achievement was used to be substituted with the attainment. And then, Mr. Speaker, we said that clause 1 was now to be read together. So there was no clause 1 and 2. 2 was to become part of 1, which is the object of the act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Table office, kindly cross-check from the official reports, and if what the honourable member has stated, please capture it correctly. Page 13. Page 14. Sorry, the end is at page 13. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, again 13. Item 6.
Page 13. page 14. Sorry, the end is at page 13.
Item 6,
Yes, please.
3. The Speaker again 13. Item 6, clause 3. So the clause 3 was now to become the 2. In the rewording, let it be captured. Thank you in the draft part. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Table office, kindly take note and do the writing. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the 26th sitting of the 26th sitting, Monday, not Tuesday, Monday, 22nd July 2024, are adopted as the true record of proceedings. The corrections of votes and proceedings, it's important that I correct some reference I made yesterday. We laid a paper and the paper was referred to the Committee on Budget. I correct some reference I made yesterday. We laid a paper and the paper was referred to the Committee on Budget. I then, after that, cross-checked from the new standing orders, and I think the proper committee should be that of Finance, not the Budget Committee. Not the Budget Committee, it should be the Finance Committee. You recall, I added that the Budget Committee members should join the Finance Committee instead of it being the other way around. And so I went back to read the standing orders, and I saw that the contents of the paper that was laid had to do with fiscal issues. And if it is to deal with fiscal issues, then the proper place should be the Committee on Finance, not that of Budget. That is why I'm drawing your attention that, with your kind permission, I will give the directive for it to be referred to the Finance Committee, not the Budget Committee. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, I refer to Order 235, Budget Committee. The Budget Committee comprises a chairperson, a ranking member, and not more than 13 other members. 2, the Budget Committee shall collaborate with the Minister responsible for Finance and the Office of the President in the initiation, formulation and implementation of the national budget. 3, the Budget Committee shall consider and report to the House on the medium-term expenditure framework, the Appropriations Bill, a report laid before Parliament of budget expenditure, and consider the annual budget and determine whether the annual budget gives effect to Chapter 6. Mr. Speaker, the key points relate to Item 4. The Budget Committee may analyze and report to the House the impact of tax waivers on the economy and report any other functions assigned by Parliament. Mr. Speaker, tax waivers are a function of budget. Tax waivers are a function of budget. The impact of a tax waiver will reduce revenue or increase revenue or hold the revenue neutral. The import here is for the Budget Committee to assess the impact of these tax waivers. There is nowhere in the functions of the Finance Committee that talks of budget tax waivers. Mr. Speaker, you can talk about the overall fiscal impact. But my view, Mr. Speaker, at the minimum, the Finance Committee must sit together with the Budget Committee, because the Budget Committee will have to assess the impact of these tax waivers on the national budget. For example, today, the Minister responsible for Finance is to present a media review, and we will have estimations of revenues. Now, we are being called upon to exempt some of this in the form of tax waivers. The impact will be on the budget, and the Budget Committee is the only committee with that mandate to assess the impact of these tax waivers. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to say that the Budget Committee must sit together with the Finance Committee in approving these tax waivers. Otherwise, you approve one thing, and then the impact of this budget, of these tax waivers, will not be known. Will not be known. And if we are interested in the impact or the analysis of the entire tax waivers, I humbly submit that the Budget Committee must be the one leading this, and the Finance Committee must support them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minority Leader, that is an excellent submission, but you yourself read the standing orders. And so, if you read the one on the Finance Committee, 2262, says the committee shall have referred to it matters that relate to monetary and fiscal policies, loans and financial transactions generally. Refer, that is the underlying word. And so if I'm to refer a matter, which committee am I to refer it to? Finance Committee. But the Budget Committee may, as you refer to, analyze and report to the House the impact of tax waivers on the economy. And so if I am to perform my duty of referring matters, definitely following the standing orders, I have to refer it to the Finance Committee. But if your call is that, and I have no problem with that call, that we should also allow the Budget Committee to join the Finance Committee to consider the referral, I have no problem with that. That I can do the referral. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, you've nailed the point, and I will not belabor, except to say that it is only the Finance Committee that has its mandate well engraved in the Constitution, and it's clear. If at any point in time a referral is made and we see the need to add leadership of a particular committee to assist by way of some technical support, that is fine. If that call comes, I would support it. But I do not want us to set a very bad precedent that would come and haunt us tomorrow. So, Mr. Speaker, I
I would not belabor if any referral on tax waiver comes, and we think that we should get the leadership of the budget committee on, so be it. I would want to agree to your ruling so that we can make progress. I thank you.
So I direct that the matter be referred to the finance committee, and the leadership of the budget committee should join the finance committee to analyze and report a comprehensive issue, including yes, Honorable Mama Yarga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we do accept your ruling, but also because of the leadership that you played, the leadership role you played in crafting these rules, and for the purposes of precedent, and given the opportunity that this matter has raised for us to look at these same rules. If you look at the rules, it says that the budget
actually, we're taking note of it.
Yes.
I don't want to belabor it.
Yes.
We delayed in publishing the final one because of the delay in the composition of the membership of the committees. If not, we have come out with the final edition where the issue you are trying to raise has been taken care of. So, members, let's move on. But there is some new development in the front bench of the majority caucus. I can see two ministers in front. That is not normal. We have one minister to sit in front to present a paper. I have seen another minister, particularly the Minister of Justice and Attorney General, also seated in front. Are you... Honorable members, I think the Attorney General is not to be taken on. This is unknown to many, and so please don't see it as any attempt to assume any power. Yes, so let's move on. Honorable members, I think at the conclave we agreed that a few papers be laid, and so with your kind permission we'll move to public business. Public business. At the commencement of public business, yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, shall we proceed to order paper addendum and take the only item advertised? And Speaker, let me seek your leave for the business to be taken by Deputy Minister instead.
Yes, honorable members, my attention has been drawn to the presence of some distinguished visitors to our Parliament from the Pan-African Parliament, led by no less a person than the President of the Pan-African Parliament, in the person of His Excellency Chief Fortuna Charumbira. Please, because of the numbers today, they are seated at the left side of the Speaker. So you have to acknowledge His Excellency Chief Fortuna Charumbira. He is the President of the Pan-African Parliament. is situated in South Africa. He is accompanied by the clerk to the Parliament in the person of Madame Lindiwe Khumalo. We also have our own former Marshal to this Parliament. We loaned him to the Pan-African Parliament as the Sergeant at Arms for about 18 years now. He has advanced to the position now of an acting deputy clerk. He's in the person of Major retired Kenneth Akibati. The young ones don't know him, but he was very, very good here as a marshal, a very well-disciplined military officer. We also have the director of a bureau. Here we refer to them as chief directors. In the person of Mr. Marimo Ndamuku. Marimo Ndamuku. Well, where I'm seated, I can't see him, but I'm sure you will have a better sight of him. And then a policy director in the person of Mr. Murad Bularaf. Murad Bularaf is from Algeria. And then the one in charge of protocol, Miss Rumbiza Chisango. Honorable members, they came to attend the AU conference and decided to pay a courtesy call to the members at home here, which is their home. And on your behalf, I did welcome them when they paid a courtesy call on me. But they humbly decided to sit in for a few minutes before they could catch their flight back to South Africa. And so once again, you are warmly welcome to the Parliament of Ghana. I know you enjoyed your stay here. We had a few discussions which we will put before this House, because we need to collectively support the Pan-African Parliament to strengthen it to be able to perform its functions efficiently and effectively. It's a pleasure having you. Honorable members, order paper addendum is just a one-pager. At the commencement of public business, presentation Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I can hear the complaints of my colleagues. Table office should do the needful, but before then, shall we revert back to the original order paper? And Speaker, proceed to page 14, and take item 8U. I.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I have here Tuesday, 23rd July 2024. I don't have page 14. So that's my page 14. So why did you decide not to give me page 14?
Yes. Honorable Minority Chief Whip, I think is the printer's devil. I have page 14. And members, I'm sure a number of you have page 14. So kindly let us go to page 14 of the original order paper, item U, by the chairman of the committee. We have U Roman 1, Roman 2, and Roman 3. And I want to, there's also, yes, Roman 1, Roman 2, Roman 3, to be taken together with one bow. Chairman of the committee.
Report of the Finance Committee on the financing agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance, and the International Development Association of the World Bank Group for an amount of $250 million United States dollars for the Ghana Financial Stability Project. Report of the Finance Committee on the request for waiver of import duties, import VAT, import NHIL, import get fund levy, EXIM levy, and the special import levy, amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of €1,517,040 for the supply installation of integrated e-learning laboratories in senior high schools, Televic Phase 2. Report of the Finance Committee on the request for waiver of import duties, import VAT, import NHIL, import get fund levy, EXIM levy, special import levy, and other fiscal reliefs amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of $38,660,000 United States dollars on materials and equipment to be imported by the Ghana Bauxite Company Limited as a strategic investor under Section 15(1) of the Exemptions Act 2022, Act 1083.
Yes, Honorable Richard Achampong.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in respect of the 250 million IDA facility, the committee met. We raised a lot of issues, and they promised to provide the committee with some information. We don't have those information, so we stood it down. We didn't even discuss it. So I'm shocked to hear that a report is being laid before all of us, because the meeting was inconclusive. So why do you come and lay a report, Chairman? This is your maiden report. So please, Mr. Speaker, the committee still has the opportunity to meet and take a decision. We've not taken any decision on any report. So this is straight to all of us here. We did not take any decision in respect of the 250 million facility. There's no report.
Honorable members.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. For
Honorable members. Chairman, what do you have to say in response?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's true we met on these referrals and we agreed subject to. So the report is being laid subject to, and those information have been presented to us, and committee members will see the final report. So we cannot print the report without those information that has been given to us. So we are not doing anything illegal, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, we will take you Roman 2 and 3 and defer Roman 1. in view of the objection that has been raised. Clearly, the report is not ready. Yes, so it can be late. Let's move. Sorry? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, this development is very strange. We haven't even considered it at all. When they attempted to hold a meeting
please, what did you say?
What I'm saying is that we haven't even considered the IDLO, let alone to talk about a report subject to. We haven't. It was stood down on the day you brought it, and we gave you reasons.
Preliminary objections.
Yes,
honorable members. So you are giving us conflicting reports, because the first statement by Honorable Richard Achampong was that it was considered, but a number of issues were raised, and they agreed to provide the additional information. So no decision had been taken by the committee. That was his position. Now, your position is that it has not been considered at all. Please, let me hear from him. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, when they tabled this transaction, the committee had preliminary objections for which it was stood down at this very first meeting. In fact, one of our concerns was that the Bank of Ghana says we need 15 billion for the financial stability. We asked them to come and set up a Ghana Financial Stability Fund, into which those funds will be collected, because what they have brought is just $250 million out of 15 billion. So how are we going to account for it? They need to come and set up a fund. That was our position. And so they stood it down. And for me to be seeing a report subject to what? We haven't even considered it at all.
So your additional information is that you started the consideration, but you haven't completed. But when you say it has not been considered at all, that conveys a different meaning.
Maybe it was because not even the memo to Parliament was read before us.
What was referred to? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, it's simple. You referred this very document to the Finance Committee. At our first meeting, the very first meeting, we raised some preliminary issues, and we concluded, all of us, that based on the preliminary issues, we will stand down the consideration, provide us with those preliminary issues in terms of information that will help us to do a further consideration of this referral. We've not done that. So there cannot even be a report. It's as simple as that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Yes, but that is in respect of you, Roman 1.
Yes.
And that is what I have deferred. But I said you, Roman 2 and 3 are laid accordingly, and the reports should be distributed to all members of Parliament. The U Roman 1 is deferred for further consideration by the committee. Yes, let's move on. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, for the past 2 weeks, we've had situations where papers have been late, reports have been late, and we complain that 24 hours after the report or the documents have been laid, members were not given copies. Mr. Speaker, the new chairman of the Finance Committee has just laid a report that some said the report exists, some said it doesn't exist. Mr. Speaker, I want you to direct the table office to start the distribution of what the chairman has laid today, so that we don't have to come tomorrow demanding the report. So if indeed the report exists, the one that you have allowed to be laid, Mr. Speaker, we want to see the table office distributing those reports now, so we don't have to call for it tomorrow. It is very important. Mr. Speaker, things are late. We never see, and then the public get the impression that
we have seen it. Mr. Speaker, to avoid that, once it has been laid, let the table office distribute them for us to see today, so that we don't get ourselves into trouble again. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
Speaker, I'm not sure my good friend is seeking to question the competence of the table office. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's quite unfortunate they can't speak into the mic. Over the years, the table office has demonstrated demonstrable competence, and the orders are clear. As and when sufficient copies are received, then they will go ahead and publish those documents and business on the order paper. They have not fell foul of the provisions of our standing order. I think my good friend is totally out of order, and he should just sit quietly and allow other papers to be laid. He is completely out of order. The table office have been competent so far, and you should at least, if for nothing at all, you give them some credit. For the many years you have been in this house, they have displayed competence. Shall we proceed to order paper addendum and take the only business advertised on the order paper?
Honourable members, please let me assist in this matter. We have papers that come from outside. Those are the documents that are referred to, that when we have sufficient copies delivered to the clerk, then they are processed for admission and referred to the business committee to schedule for the consideration of the House. That one, there are sufficient copies to be distributed. But when the report is generated by the House, it's after it is laid that copies will be produced for distribution to members. And the copies are usually distributed through the office generally referred to as the table office, where you have the register. Some of you go to append your signatures. They put it in your you call them pigeonholes. That's where they put them, and that's where you collect them. They are usually not distributed on the floor. It's only when, during consideration of a report, members say they don't have copies available, now we call on the table office to distribute the additional copies they have. If you have to encourage distribution of copies immediately they are laid, that will disrupt the proceedings of the House. And so we'll take note of the concern you have raised, and then by tomorrow, if copies are not distributed, then we could reconsider the referral. But as at now, I think the proper thing should be done. We should allow the table office to try to produce additional copies that will be sufficient enough to be distributed to members through your pigeonholes. That is what I can say as a matter of practical procedure and the processes of the House. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, we accept your ruling, but just to maybe a guide to the chairman of the Finance Committee as well. We would encourage him that the next time he wants to lay a paper, that paper must actually exist in the case of the 250 million, because what he has done is an attempt to deceive colleagues by saying that a report from a committee exists. So, Mr. Speaker, it will be very important that, because unless you can prove that the report exists, trying to lay a report which doesn't exist is actually, Mr. Speaker, an affront to the integrity of this House. So, Mr. Speaker, the chairman of the Finance Committee must take note. The next time you want to lay a paper, you can only lay a paper that exists, not a non. In fact, he himself said that in the process, we don't lay in the process papers, we lay papers that exist. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, please.
Speaker, we are ready to proceed on to the other paper addendum. And Speaker, I want to seek your leave. I don't know what has come over you this morning. So I seek your leave for it to be done by the Deputy Minister. You know he's indisposed. You know it. I don't need to tell you.
Sorry, my attention was distracted by the clerk. So I didn't hear what you said. Yes,
Other paper addendum. It's the only business.
We go ahead with
other paper addendum.
Other paper addendum.
Yes. And Speaker, I sought your leave for it to be done by the Deputy Minister.
Yes, please. Honourable members. Yes, Honourable Deputy Minority Whip.
Mr. Speaker, we have no objection to it.
Honourable members, order paper addendum, presentation and first reading of bills, Ghana Shippers Authority Amendment Bill 2024, Minister for Transport.
An act to establish the Ghana Shippers Authority to regulate the commercial activities of shippers and shipping service providers in the shipment, storage and delivery of international trade cargo by sea, air and land, and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the bill is presented to the House accordingly and referred to the Committee on Transport for consideration and report to the House. I want to encourage other members, particularly members of the Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs, to assist the Committee on Transport in its deliberations. Honourable members, before I proceed, we have other visitors. You can see the public gallery is full. We have visitors from a number of institutions, and it's important I recognize their presence before we proceed. We have 69 visitors from the Otium Pentecost Child and Youth Development Center. They are led by the director in the person of Collins Joe Annam. The institute is located in the Ekumfi constituency. 69 of them are present, and they are to my right at the public gallery. On your behalf, I want to warmly welcome them to Parliament House and to encourage them to keep on coming. And I hope our team will take them through the rudiments of parliamentary practice. You are welcome. Please resume your seats. We have another group made up of 115 people from the Adubia United Basic Primary and Junior High School. They are led by the head teacher in the person of Mr. Sensu Peter Atta. The school is located in the Manso Adubia constituency. I don't recall the name of a constituency called Manso Adubia. Manso Adubia. That's the name of the constituency. Manso Adubia.
It's Manso Adubia, Mr. Speaker.
Adubia.
Adubia, ADU. Manso
Yes.
Adubia.
That is one of the new creations.
No, it's been here since 2013.
2020.
2013.
Created in 2013.
2012. 2012.
I'm not sure you are right. Not even 2012.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, it was created in 2012, but came to being in 2013. And I've been in this chamber since 2013. And
yeah, I recognize your face.
Sure, but that is the name of the constituency. Listen, only, all right. Mr. Speaker, on the Government Assurances Committee, you were our special patron, and I was the chairman. And I always interacted with you here in this very chamber. Thank you.
I used to refer to the constituency as Manso constituency. I didn't know that there was a Dubia attached to it.
Yes, there are two Manso constituencies. It used to be one.
Yes.
And then in 2012, it was split into two. The Manso Nkwanta and Manso Dubia.
Oh,
that's it. So it used to be one constituency.
Thank you so much. We have also students from Gomwa East constituency. There are 79 in number from the Hope College. They are led by the head of department in the person of Thomas Kodo. Yes, there are also quite a number here. And we also have, please resume your seats. We also have students from Insia Senior High School, Axim Girls Senior High School, Axim Community Tech, Jiraman Senior High School. These are all located in the Evaluate Ajumuro Jira constituency, and they are led by the group leader in the person of Mr. Albert Saki. Please, all of you, rather from Adubia United Basic, Hope College, and the current students, you are all welcome to Parliament, and I hope that you will not make it a one-day wonder, 9-day wonder. You continue to come so that you can learn and perform better than us in the future. With this, I move on. Please resume your seats. We may now move to the main item. Yes.
Speaker, with respect, before that, shall we take the last business on the original order paper, page 15, item 8W and 8X on page 15.
Page 15, item
W and X.
Honorable members, we have been called upon to take the items numbered W and X at page 15 of the order paper. W is by the chairman of the committee, and this time it's a joint committee. Mines, now we have committee on energy and then another committee on lands and natural resources. The chairman is to lay the report for and on behalf of the joint committee.
Reports of the Joint Committee on Mines and Energy and Lands and Forestry on the Songo salt mining undertaken by Electrochem Ghana Limited.
Honorable members, the report is laid accordingly and for distribution to all members of Parliament. Then we take X by the chairman of the committee.
Reports of the Committee on Mines and Energy on the 2024 work program of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation.
Honorable members, this report is also laid accordingly and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I'm happy that the former chairman of the committee is here. As far as there were some provisions that were made in the report, and those monies were not going to be used by GMPC. And we asked that they should bring us a report from the Ministry of Energy to show us how those monies were going to be expended, or else it should be expunged. Since then, they have not returned to us. 3 days ago, I drew the attention of the clerk to it, and I'm happy that the former chairman is here. And so for them to have a report being late, when we have not agreed on that, I'm sorry that my ranking is not here. Another kangaroo laying.
And why is the old chairman laying that?
Yes, that's the point I'm
Yes, chairman, yes.
And we're talking about almost $45 million.
Yes, I want to hear from the chairman of the committee. Yes, please.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, some issues were raised, and we pushed them to furnish the answers to your clerk. They are all there for their perusal, but they do not affect the substance of the matter. So when you are on your feet and you still want to interrogate, it is up to you. But whatever was required, all the residual issues are with the clerk. So I will crave the indulgence of Mr. Speaker that my good friend should liaise with the clerk so you can internalize all the papers you need, which you can use for arguments on the House floor. But the substance of the document, we have not departed from it. All the residual matters are with the clerk, with respect.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, you have a situation where GMPC is asked to contribute huge sums of money, millions of dollars, to the Ministry of Energy for a project nobody knows what the project is about. And all we asked was that give us a report on what the project is all about, the scope of the report, the amount involved, and the justification why GMPC should be funding that. And as we speak, they have not brought it, and you incorporate that, and for us to approve it. I mean, that's so wrong, and that cannot. This is a very material issue. That and besides that, you see, he was a very fantastic chairman, and I liked him. But as we speak now, I don't know what capacity he was speaking on.
Well, what I heard the chairman to have said is that the documents have been deposited with the clerk to the committee, and therefore you could get copies from the clerk to the committee. That is what the chairman said.
Yes, let me hear. We needed to have that report, and then need to see as to whether we agree that allocation should be made. We have not met. But power, we will vote against it.
Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I think the Honourable Member, Honourable Bauer, was right. I was in that meeting, and those requests are made. But I think it's important to know that what we're expecting are very important and must find expressions in this report. And so, yes, if they are with the clerk, it's important. If members have not seen it and expressed their views on those reports, and we lay the report, we will not be doing a good service to this House. So I would strongly suggest that we stand down on this report, we make sure that members have opportunity to see those reports, and then we can really come back and lay the report.
Yes, Chairman, what do you say to a request?
With the greatest of respect to the former Minister for Energy, the matters they are complaining of are residual matters which are with the clerk. So when you go and internalize what they've left for us to see, that could be part of your submissions on the floor. But it doesn't change substantially the content of the work program. That is what I'm trying to say. Because they raised issues, they wanted to look at some documents. The documents have been furnished. But those matters are not at the core of the work program. So I don't see why it should hijack, what we are doing. When you are on your feet and you've gone to the clerk to see the documents, it can be part of your contribution at the House floor. But it doesn't change substantially the work program. It doesn't change it at all.
Ranking member.
Mr. Speaker, I am shocked and surprised to see this report. Mr. Speaker, I've quickly glanced through from page 1 to 16, and as far as I'm concerned, I disagree with every single page here in terms of this report. Every single page. Mr. Speaker, we have a lot to do before this report is generated. I am your ranking member. If you claim that documents have been submitted, Mr. Speaker, it's not right and proper that you ferry same to the ranking member, so that in collaboration with my competent and intelligent members, we can peruse this document to determine the way forward. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect, taking regard to this report, I would appeal to you that just as you did with UI, this one to kindly stand it down. Yes. Let's go and do what is right and proper. Then we can come here and consider. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Minister, Trade and Industry.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the recognition. Mr. Speaker, I just looked at my time. The battery works all right. I checked with the other ones. Mr. Speaker, it's 3 o'clock. Mr. Speaker, we thought that there was a specific item that almost everybody came here, Mr. Speaker, for. And that is for the presentation of the mid-year review. Mr. Speaker, the Energy Committee matters, we could resolve it at the appropriate time. All the matters, Mr. Speaker, that you find here, we can resolve at the appropriate time. Mr. Speaker, for Christ's sake, our colleagues will allow the minister to present the report, the mid-year review budget. Let's get that out of the way. It's 3 o'clock, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member, I think you should be talking to your leadership.
Give me 1 second.
Because they are guiding the speaker as to which item to call first.
I understand that, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, so that is what I'm doing. In view of what is happening, please, honourable members, who defer the laying, not stand down, who defer the laying of that item. And this is in reference to item X, 8X, at page 15 of the order paper. Then we can now proceed to the major item of the day. I agree with the Honourable Minister for Trade and Industry. We spent a lot of time. Can we now do the main item? Please. Is that agreeable?
It is so, Speaker.
Yes. Honourable members, item 6 is at page 2 of the original order paper. Statements. Mid-year review of the budget statement and economic policy of the government of Ghana for the 2024 financial year. Minister for Finance.
Thank you. The Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members of Parliament, on the authority of His Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, I present to you the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana for the 2024 financial year. The mid-year fiscal policy review presentation is in fulfillment of Section 28 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016 Act 921. Mr. Speaker, this statement is an abridged version of the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy for the 2024 financial year. I respectfully request that the entire mid-year fiscal policy be captured in the Hansa. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin this mid-year policy review by expressing my gratitude to His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, for appointing me to serve as the Finance Minister, especially at this critical time in our nation's history. It is such an honor and privilege to serve in this capacity, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. As the Member of Parliament for Karaga and with full cooperation of the House, I wish to also express my profound appreciation to you. Growing up as a young boy in Ababu, Tamale, it never crossed my mind that I will one day stand before you to address this august House in this capacity. The young people out there should therefore know that, especially those sitting in the public gallery, that it is possible. Hard work, it is possible. With hard work, dedication, and by the grace of God, all of you have limitless opportunities to serve our country. Mr. Speaker, the last 2 years have been extremely challenging globally, and Ghana has not been an exception. The difficult economic environment has truly affected businesses and families, particularly the vulnerable in our society. These challenges have severely affected households, increased cost of living, and limited the creation of job opportunities. Our young people continue to seek employment opportunities beyond what the state can provide. Mr. Speaker, it has indeed been a difficult time, and I deeply empathize with our fellow Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, over the last 2 years, government has embarked on a number of decisive measures to get us back on the path of fiscal consolidation, economic stability, and growth. And I'm happy to note that these policies we have implemented are yielding the expected results. Growth continues to exceed our expectations. The 4.7% growth rate reported by the Ghana Statistical Service for the first quarter 2024 exceeds the 3.1% recorded in the same period in 2023. Inflation is declining. End June inflation rate of 22.8%, a reduction of 31 percentage points from the December 2022, which confirms the target of 15% by end 2024 is possible. Exchange rate has largely stabilized compared to December 2022, despite the recent pressures. The 18.6% depreciation rate to the US dollar as of June 2024 represents an improvement over the 22% recorded for the same period last year. And gross international reserves reached 3.1 months of import cover as at end June 2024, against 2.5 months of import cover in the same period last year. Mr. Speaker, it is evident that we are on the right trajectory. The economy is rebounding stronger than anticipated. The choices we've made and the policies we are implementing are yielding results. We've reversed the negative trends. All the indicators are looking better. I want to assure you that we will stay on this path and continue to make the right choices. Our economy is recovering and the recovery is fast and strong. Mr. Speaker, over the last 6 months, we've sought to bring some urgency and speed to the implementation of key government programs and also swiftly provided the necessary support for growth-enhancing initiatives. I am again happy to inform this august House that with the support of His Excellency the President, Cabinet, and all stakeholders, we have successfully concluded the second review of our extended credit facility with the International Monetary Fund, which led to the disbursement of the third tranche of $360 million, bringing total disbursement to about $1.6 billion. We have completed the debt restructuring program with the Official Creditor Committee of Ghana, covering $5.1 billion, resulting in approximately $2.8 billion of debt service relief. This means that we will not service our debt to our official creditors from 2023 to 2026. We have concluded negotiations with our Eurobond holders, covering $13.1 billion, which would lead to a cancellation of $4.7 billion of our debt and provide debt service relief of another $4.4 billion between 2023 and 2026. We've concluded our negotiations with 5 of the 7 independent power producers, which will lead to a saving of $6.6 billion over the remaining lifetime of the power purchase agreements. We've reined in expenditures to ensure we are within the 2024 budget appropriation and exceeded the mid-year non-oil revenue target by 3.7%. In effect, Mr. Speaker, we are living within our means. Indeed, consistent with our programs with the IMF, we are on course to achieving a primary surplus of 0.5% of GDP by end of the year. We've cleared all outstanding bank transfer advice, BTAs, up to 2022 and working hard to pay BTAs from 2023. We've embarked on major reforms of state-owned enterprises, especially those in the energy and cocoa sectors, to be fiscally prudent and reduce their risk on the budget. We've launched the SME Go program to provide financial and technical support to SMEs. We've disbursed 5.4 billion Ghana cedis to support LEAD, school feeding program, capitation grant, and NHIS since January 2024 to reduce the burden on the vulnerable in our society. We've spent about 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to support 1,488,575 students under the free senior high school program between January and June this year. We've paid about 12 billion Ghana cedis to bondholders under our domestic debt exchange program since February to demonstrate our commitment to the program. Mr. Speaker, we've invested almost 10 billion Ghana cedis in the road sector since January 2024 to enhance transportation and spur growth. I can also confirm that government has secured equipment to complement the efforts of our local authorities in improving community roads nationwide. Mr. Speaker, in line with our commitment to infrastructure development, we continue to make progress on projects such as Konfanoti Teaching Hospital, Ofanko Nsawam Road, Keta Water Supply, Opichebi Lamte, and Flower Pot Interchanges.
the 3 bypasses on the Kumasi-Accra Highway, and the Tema and Pakadam Railway Line. We've completed the Prempeh the First International Airport in Kumasi and the Yakubu Tali International Airport in Tamale. The 111 hospitals are at various stages of completion. We have completed the Afari Hospital in Kumasi and many other hospitals across the country. To advance our digitalization drive and expand our unique identification system, we've invested about 135 million Ghana cedis in the National Identification Program since January 2024. Mr. Speaker, this significant progress has been underpinned by an environment of enhanced and inclusive engagements with key stakeholders. These engagements have provided useful feedback, improved our understanding, and boosted our cooperation with stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, the stabilization is real. We are determined to stay the course on our fiscal consolidation program. Increased attention will continue to be given to prudent management of approved expenditures and improved revenue mobilization. We will also continue with our programs of delivering critical physical and digital infrastructure. To generate economic activity and increase growth, we will focus on increasing our investments in the road sector under the Economic Growth Improvement Program area. This program will ensure that roads are built to connect producing areas to market centers and to key tourist sites. Accordingly, certain critical economic roads have been prioritized. We are structuring a financial arrangement that will ensure the timely completion of these strategic roads. The Accra-Kumasi Highway, Accra-Takoradi Highway, Takoradi-Agona-Nkwanta Junction, and Tema-Afenya Road. We will work with the private sector to close the national housing deficit and optimize land use in urban areas. We will use public-private partnership to deliver public infrastructure projects. Mr. Speaker, Cabinet has also granted approval for the disbursement of an additional 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to provide relief and bailout for those whose funds have been locked up in the fund management companies. The establishment of a framework for the reintroduction of road and bridge tolls in 2025. The operationalization of the integrated property tax system and a review of the fiscal responsibility rules to include a debt rule to support debt sustainability as well as the establishment of independent fiscal council. Mr. Speaker, our outlook for the rest of the year also takes cognizance of key risks. The IMF this month has already noted that the global economy is in a sticky spot. Upside risk to inflation and their impact on interest rates remain. These coexist in an environment of escalating trade tensions and increased policy uncertainty. On the domestic front, we recognize the need to meet large debt service payments relating to our just-ended debt operations. We will continue to review the performance of key SOEs and engage stakeholders to decisively mitigate their risks. Despite these significant risks, this mid-year fiscal policy review reassesses government's commitment to pursue growth in a context of fiscal consolidation and debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, the developments in key operations for the economy, as at mid-year, have prompted shifts in some of the assumptions that underpin the 2024 budget, presented in November 2023. There have been changes in amortization, interest costs due to the external debt operations, and disbursement forecasts for externally funded projects. In this regard, we will remain within the appropriation for 2024. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, we are not seeking supplementary funds in this mid-year review. We are determined to be more efficient, strategic, and intentional to enrich and entrench fiscal consolidation and strongly promote growth. Mr. Speaker, in today's presentation of the mid-year policy review of government, I'll provide updates on the following key areas. An update on the macro and fiscal performance for the year 2023, a review of the implementation of the 2024 budget for the first half of the year, the current economic developments and outlook, progress made on the implementation of key government policies, particularly of the IMF-supported PCP, the status of Ghana's debt restructuring program, efforts at pursuing growth and development within a stable macroeconomic environment, and the status of implementation of government programs, among others. Mr. Speaker, global growth projections indicate a moderation from 3.5% in 2022 to 3.3% in 2023. This trend is expected to vary slightly into 2024, with a growth of 3.2% and 3.3% in 2025, according to the July 2024 update of the World Economic Outlook. The forecast for sub-Saharan Africa point to an uptick from 3.4% in 2023 to 3.7% and 4.1% in 2024 and 2025 respectively. This growth trajectory is supported by the reversal of earlier anticipated weather-related shocks and ongoing improvements in supply conditions. Mr. Speaker, global headline inflation is expected to decline from 6.7% in 2023 to 5.9% in 2024, and further to 4.4% in 2025. This is according to the World Economic Outlook update for July 2024. In the sub-Saharan Africa region, headline inflation is projected to decrease to 6% in 2024 from 10% in 2023. However, about one-third of the region's countries continue to experience double-digit headline inflation, largely influenced by the pass-through impacts of significant currency depreciations. Mr. Speaker, gold prices have reached record highs, rising by 8% annually due to safe haven flows and robust central bank buying. Prices are expected to increase moderately to $2,100 per ounce throughout 2024. Mr. Speaker, when we presented the 2024 budget to this August House last November, we shared our progress in terms of the macroeconomic performance for the first 3 quarters of 2023. Today, with the full year data at our disposal, I present a more comprehensive update on the performance of the domestic economy in 2023 and the first half of 2024. Mr. Speaker, the year 2023 was characterized by improved macroeconomic stability, resilience, and gradual recovery. Despite the persistent global headwinds stemming from the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine conflict, we observed some encouraging developments. We witnessed a gradual shift towards economic stabilization, with most key macroeconomic indicators showing signs of improvement, including growth, proving to be more resilient and robust than initially programmed. Mr. Speaker, provisional 2023 GDP statistics published by the Ghana Statistical Service in April 2024 indicate that growth of the economy in 2023 was more resilient than projected. The economy expanded by 2.9% against a target of 1.5%, while non-oil GDP grew by 3.3%. In the first quarter of 2024, growth was 4.7%, the highest growth recorded since the second quarter of 2022. This growth largely reflected an expansion in the industry sector, which recorded a growth of 6.8%. Mr. Speaker, headline inflation decelerated significantly to 23.2% as at end December 2023, representing 31.4 percentage points reduction from the peak of 54.6% recorded in December 2022. In June 2024, headline inflation declined to 22.8%. The decline in price pressures was broadly driven by tight monetary policy stance, ongoing fiscal consolidation of government, and low volatility of transport fares due to stable crude oil prices. Mr. Speaker, in 2023, interest rates broadly showed downward trends at the shorter end of the yield curve, whilst rates at the longer-dated segment of the market remained stable. The 91-day and 182-day Treasury bill rates decreased to 29.4% and 31.7% in December 2023, and further down to 24.9% and 24.6% in June 2024, coming down from 35.5% and 36.2% recorded in December 2022. Mr. Speaker, the banking sector rebounded in 2023 with an improved balance sheet performance in December 2023 on the back of increased liquidity flows from deposits and shareholders' funds. Total assets increased by 29.7% to 274.9 billion Ghana cedis as at end December 2023. Total investment also increased by 47.5% to 100.2 billion Ghana cedis, driven by the bank's reallocated portfolios towards short-term investment in response to the increase in short-term money market rates. Mr. Speaker, developments in Ghana's external sector in 2023 was marked by a general reduction in external payments, resulting in a current account surplus and reduced capital and financial account outflow. Consequently, the overall balance of payment recorded a surplus of $461.6 million. The current account improved to a surplus of $1.41 billion, driven by a strong growth in remittances as the reforms in the fintech ecosystem started to yield positive results. Mr. Speaker, for the first half of 2024, the trade balance recorded a provisional surplus of $1.81 billion, higher than the outturn of $1.6 billion recorded in the corresponding period of 2023. This was the result of a larger increase in exports, which outweighed the increase in imports. The improved trade surplus even stronger growth in remittances and the lingering reduction in income payments due to the debt standstill resulted in larger current account surplus of $1.28 billion, and this is 1.5% of GDP. This is recorded in the first half of 2024. This compares with a current account surplus of $863 million, 1.1% of GDP, registered in the same period a year ago. Mr. Speaker, gross international reserves stood at $5.9 billion, equivalent to 2.7 months of import cover for goods and services at the end of December 2023. Our reserves further increased to $6.9 billion, equivalent to 3.1 months of import cover at the end of June this year. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana cedi experienced a relatively moderate depreciation against major international currencies in 2023 compared to the previous year. Cumulatively, the Ghana cedi depreciated by 27.8%, 31.9%, and 30.3% against the US dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, respectively, in 2023. In the first half of 2024, the cedi depreciated by 18.6%, 17.9%, and 16% against the US dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, respectively. This compares to a depreciation of 22%, 26.3%, and 23.8% against the US dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, respectively, in the first half of last year. Mr. Speaker, government fiscal operations for 2023 shows significant improvement in the fiscal balances, demonstrating an effective fiscal consolidation with the primary balance on commitment basis reducing by over 4 percentage points of GDP in 2023 relative to 2022. The fiscal performance for 2023 is presented within the context of the revised 2023 overall deficit on commitment basis, which has a target of 5.7% of GDP, with a corresponding primary deficit of 0.5% of GDP. On cash basis, the revised 2023 overall deficit target was 6.4% of GDP. Overall budget deficit on commitment basis was 31.5 billion Ghana cedis, 3.7% of GDP, compared to the mid-year budget target of 49 billion Ghana cedis, 5.7% of GDP. Primary balance on commitment basis was a deficit of 2.2 billion Ghana cedis, 0.3% of GDP, which was an improvement over the deficit target of 4.1 billion Ghana cedis, 0.5% of GDP, and a significant improvement from the deficit 4.3% of GDP recorded in 2022. The overall budget balance on cash basis was a deficit of 28 billion Ghana cedis, 3.3% of GDP, which is much lower than the target of 55 billion Ghana cedis, 6.4% of GDP, and down from the deficit of 10.6% of GDP recorded in 2022. Primary balance on cash basis was a surplus of 1.4 billion Ghana cedis, 0.2% of GDP, which is an improvement compared to the deficit target of 10.1 billion Ghana cedis, that is 1.2% of GDP, and the deficit 3.2% of GDP recorded in 2022. Mr. Speaker, provisional data on government fiscal operations for the first half of 2024 indicates that revenue mobilization and expenditure execution were broadly in line with the target, resulting in an overall budget deficit on commitment basis of 21.3 billion Ghana cedis. This corresponding primary balance on commitment basis was a deficit of 2.3 billion Ghana cedis, that is 0.2% of GDP, compared to the deficit target of 2.4 billion Ghana cedis, also 0.2% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, the overall cash budget deficit was 36.1 billion Ghana cedis, 3.4% of GDP, compared with the deficit target of 35.2 billion Ghana cedis, 3.3% of GDP. The corresponding primary balance on cash basis was a deficit of 17.1 billion Ghana cedis, 1.6% of GDP, compared with the period target of 8.8 billion Ghana cedis, 0.8% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, total revenue and grants for the first half of 2024 amounted to 74.7 billion Ghana cedis, 1.9% below the target of 76.1 billion Ghana cedis. Despite the shortfalls, the outturn shows a nominal year-on-year growth of 24.6% and constitutes 42.3% of the budget's total revenue for the year. The revenue performance was mainly driven by the strong performance in non-oil tax revenue and non-oil non-tax revenue, which partly offset the shortfalls in oil receipts for the period. Mr. Speaker, total expenditures commitment amounted to 95.9 billion Ghana cedis, below the budget target of 104.8 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, as at end December 2023, The provisional central government and guaranteed debt in nominal terms was 608.4 billion Ghana cedis. This was made up of 351.1 billion Ghana cedis and 257.2 billion Ghana cedis for external and domestic debt, respectively. Mr. Speaker, the provisional total central government debt as at end June 2024 stood at 742 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 70.6% of GDP. This indicates an increase of 22% due to the effect of the cedi depreciation and disbursements from creditors. The stock consists of external debt of 452 billion Ghana cedis and domestic debt of 290 billion Ghana cedis, representing 60.9% and 39.1% of the total debt stock, respectively. As a percentage of GDP, external and domestic debt represented 43% and 27.6%, respectively. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's medium-term macroeconomic and financial outlook and prospects remain positive and favorable, despite the challenging global environment. The ongoing improvement in the implementation of the IMF-supported post-COVID-19 program for economic growth reinforces our commitment to navigate through global uncertainties and address domestic challenges. Government's unwavering dedication to maintaining macroeconomic stability, promoting investment, and enhancing social protection programs continues to re-echo our objective of building back better. Mr. Speaker, it has become necessary to revise the 2024 macroeconomic framework due to recent domestic and global economic developments, including the impact of the debt restructuring. Mr. Speaker, key revisions to the macro fiscal targets for 2024 include overall real GDP growth rate revised upwards from 2.8% to 3.1%. Non-oil real GDP growth rate is revised upwards from 2.1% to 2.8%. Growth in GDP deflator scaled down from 20.2% to 17.5%. Nominal overall GDP has been revised from 1.050 billion Ghana cedis, that is 1 trillion Ghana cedis, to 1.020 billion Ghana cedis. Non-oil GDP has been revised from 979 billion Ghana cedis to 977 billion Ghana cedis. End period head inflation remains unchanged at 15%. Primary balance on commitment basis is maintained at a surplus of 0.5%. And gross international reserves, including oil funds and incumbent or pledged assets, to cover no less than 3 months of imports. Mr. Speaker, accounting for these developments, the revision of the 2024 fiscal framework indicates that the primary balance on commitment basis remains unchanged at the targeted surplus of 0.5% of GDP, in line with the IMF-supported PCPEC objectives. Mr. Speaker, total revenue and grants have been revised upwards by 0.5% to 177.2 billion Ghana cedis in 2024, from the 2024 budget target of 176.4 billion Ghana cedis. This largely reflects increase in non-oil tax revenue, which has been increased from 14.8 billion Ghana cedis to 15.6 billion Ghana cedis to reflect dividends from interest accrued in the ESLA accounts. Mr. Speaker, total expenditure on commitment has been revised downward by 2.1% to 219.7 billion Ghana cedis from the original budget projection of 226.7 billion Ghana cedis. This revision is largely on the back of interest payments, which has been revised downwards by 7.9 billion Ghana cedis to reflect the impact of the external debt restructuring on external interest payments. Mr. Speaker, the overall balance on commitment basis has been revised from a deficit of 50.3 billion Ghana cedis to a deficit of 42.5 billion Ghana cedis. The primary balance on commitment basis is therefore maintained at surplus of 0.5% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, the cash deficit of 54.1 billion Ghana cedis is expected to be financed from foreign and domestic sources. The net foreign financing will amount to 15.2 billion Ghana cedis, representing 28.1% of the total financing for 2024. Foreign financing will include disbursements from the second and third tranche of the IMF program and World Bank Development Policy Operation Funding. Mr. Speaker, the domestic financing will amount to 38.9 billion Ghana cedis, representing 71.9% of the total financing for 2024. This is expected to be sourced from the issuances of debt at the short end of the domestic market and inflows from Ghana Petroleum Funds. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 medium-term debt strategy will continue to build on the strategy implemented in the first half of the year. The strategy will focus on an appropriate financing mix aimed at supporting fiscal consolidation without compromising macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that government has made substantial progress since the completion of the domestic debt exchange program in September 2023. We've successfully honored 2 coupon payments, with the second payment of about 5.9 billion Ghana cedis in February 2024. Furthermore, we are on track to make the third coupon payment of 6.1 billion Ghana cedis in August 2024. The timely payments of these coupons will undoubtedly improve investor confidence in the domestic market and bolster the overall economy. After an 8-month period of negotiations, Mr. Speaker, government and the Official Creditor Committee for Ghana reached an agreement in principle on the 12th January 2024, outlining the broad parameters for the restructuring of official bilateral debts. Subsequently, on the 11th June 2024, government and the OCC reached an agreement on an MOU covering the restructuring of about $5.1 billion of the official bilateral debt. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, I am pleased to report that this agreement resulted in debt service relief amounting to $2.8 billion over the course of the IMF program 2023 to 2026, which will provide critical liquidity support to the economy. Mr. Speaker, the MOU will serve as the guiding document for amending individual country claims against Ghana. The next critical step is a direct engagement with the bilateral creditors to implement the mutually agreed restructuring terms. Mr. Speaker, government is committed to securing debt treatment from all other external creditors, consistent with the comparability of treatment principle enshrined in the G20 Common Framework. We are pleased to announce that on the 24th June 2024, government reached an agreement in principle with the Eurobond holders to restructure approximately $13.1 billion of outstanding Eurobonds. Additionally, it reduces the nominal value of the outstanding Eurobonds by $4.7 billion and provides debt service relief of about $4.4 billion during the program period. Mr. Speaker, the debt restructuring will result in reducing the present value of our public debt to 55% by 2028, as embedded in the IMF-supported program. Mr. Speaker, the government of Ghana remains committed to engaging in good faith negotiations with other commercial external creditors, comprising primarily private banks and suppliers or contractors that have provided commercial loan facilities. Our objective is to finalize restructuring agreements with these creditors that uphold the principle of comparability of treatment and addresses Ghana's requirement for debt relief, ensuring a comprehensive and sustainable approach to our external debt obligations. The debt restructuring has been a crucial pillar of Ghana's economic recovery from the 2022 crisis. It has helped to restore confidence in the economy, and the following benefits are evident: rapid restoration of macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, avoidance of steeper fiscal adjustment, creation of fiscal space for development spending, and prevention of a domestic and external banking crisis. Mr. Speaker, despite the benefits, we remain committed to exercising caution, informed by the lessons learned from our experiences and the sacrifices of the Ghanaian people. Our debt strategy going forward includes deepening reforms to ensure irreversibility and building buffers to reduce vulnerabilities and enhance resilience. Mr. Speaker, in the 2024 budget statement and economic policy, government outlined a series of revenue measures consistent with the medium-term revenue strategy. The measures reflected the commitment of government to improve the tax-to-GDP ratio from the current 14.1% to 18 to 20% by 2027. In the 2024 budget, government amended existing legislation to give effect to the revenue measures. These measures also aim to broaden the tax base and improve tax compliance for a more equitable and efficient revenue system. Mr. Speaker, whilst not all the measures were implemented in the first half of the year through enhanced compliance and enforcement, the Ghana Revenue Authority exceeded its mid-year target by 0.2%. Similarly, non-tax revenue performance, as at the end of June, exceeded the target by 14%. Mr. Speaker, in line with its commitment to ensuring full disclosure of retained internal generated funds by public institutions, government has deployed the Ghana.gov platform to over 1,500 public institutions and also rolled out the Ghana Integrated Financial Management Information System, GIFMIX, to 287 IGF-reliant public institutions. As at the end of June, 140 public institutions, including GRA, had gone live and received payments through the platform, totaling 56.4 billion cedis, an increase of 34.6% compared to the same period in 2023. Mr. Speaker, for the rest of the year, the Ministry of Finance will deepen engagement with both GRA and relevant stakeholders to effectively implement policy, administrative, and regulatory measures to ensure that the revenue targets are met. Mr. Speaker, to broaden the tax base, a simplified digital solution for operationalization of the modified taxation scheme will be deployed, as well as an electronic bookkeeping system. Additionally, 2,000 more taxpayers will be onboarded onto the electronic invoicing system, the EVAT system, by the close of the year. GRA will also continue with the cleaning of the taxpayer register and onboard more taxpayers onto its electronic systems to improve the taxpayer experience and compliance. In addition, GRA will continue to enforce and enhance data sharing with other tax jurisdictions to boost revenue mobilization. Government will reinstitute the integrated property tax system by synthesizing data from MMDAs, lands valuation, ECG, and other relevant government agencies to create a comprehensive digital property record database that will transform property data management and ensure a more efficient and accurate property tax system. Mr. Speaker, to enhance revenue mobilization by IGF-reliant covered entities, discussions will be held around provisions of incentives to those institutions that exceed their revenue target for the year. The Ministry will continue the deployment of the Ghana.gov payment platform to remaining public institutions and ensure that all those already onboarded go live. Additionally, the outstanding activities for the full rollout and utilization of the gift mix for the processing of IGF expenditures will be completed by the end of the year. Mr. Speaker, government will also develop a framework for the reintroduction of road and bridge tolls to facilitate the processes for the implementation of a modernized and efficient road and bridge tolling system commencing in 2025. Government undertook to ensure that we will have stability and also ensure that the economy continues to grow. Government also continued the implementation of ongoing programs and seeks in this mid-year review to provide an update on the progress and the outlook for the rest of the year. Mr. Speaker, government is determined to improve road infrastructure in the country. This has been done through the construction of new roads and the upgrade and maintenance of old ones. The rehabilitation and maintenance of road infrastructure nationwide are at various stages of completion. These include Jabosu, Moinzan, ongoing roads, Winnibaka Aswa, Karaga Town roads, Bushabu Town roads, Tolun Beboya road, Nanton Karaga Bushabu Highway, Sefuweasu Town roads, Accra Kumasi roads, and many other roads. Some of the completed road projects include the Diesoba, Esinchim, Manshia, Anchi, Ajekro, Debra Camp, and others. Sunyani and Brekum inner city roads, Atebubu town roads, Asinfosu, Dunkwa, Oko station, Kohu Tafu, Miasu roads. Mr. Speaker, in addition, the following major roads are at various stages of completion. The rehabilitation of the Tamale-Tatali Road, Phase 2 of the Tema Motorway Roundabout, construction of the flyover over the Accra-Tema Motorway from the Flower Point Roundabout on the Spintex Road to East Legon. Construction of the Phase 2 works under the Swami Interchange, dualization of the Sawam of Anko Road, works on the Aguna Nkwanta Takwa Road, works on the Domi Kitasi Road, and Phase 2 of Obichibi Lamti Interchange and ancillary works. Mr. Speaker, our commitment to building an efficient railway network is not just about transportation. It is about fostering economic growth, creating jobs, and enhancing connectivity throughout our nation. The Nsawam-Accra Tema railway line is completed and in use. The construction of the iconic Tema to Mpakadam railway line is 99% complete and is expected to be fully completed this year. The construction of the Kodokrom-Manso section is expected to be completed before the end of 2024. The Manso-Hanil Valley, which includes the extension of the line into the Takoradi port, is expected to be completed by May 2026. Mr. Speaker, government constructed about 10 fishing ports to improve the livelihood of fishing communities as a facilitator of jobs for the teeming youth of our country. In the first half of the year, about 90,000 beneficiaries were engaged, including 15,000 youth in community policing, 6,000 youth in community health, 1,500 in prison services, and 2,100 youth in garment and apparel. Mr. Speaker, as part of the preparation towards the conduct of the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections, the Electoral Commission registered voters in 268 district offices and 775 electoral areas. The Commission also compiled the special voters list and managed applications for vote transfers and proxy voting. Mr. Speaker, during the first half of 2024, the National Commission for Civic Education carried out sensitization and awareness creation for a total number of 3.1 million people regarding the peaceful conduct of the 2024 general election. Mr. Speaker, as part of activities to effectively coordinate security coverage for the electoral activities this year, the Police Service has established the Police Election Security Secretariat under the authority of the National Election Security Task Force. Mr. Speaker, in line with our commitment to upholding the rule of law, we have constructed a 12-story state-of-the-art law house to accommodate the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. This significant project, originally initiated by His Excellency the President during his tenure as Attorney General in 2001, was officially commissioned by him on June 10, 2024. Mr. Speaker, there has been a consistent reduction in irregularities reported by the Auditor General since 2020. Between 2022 and 2023, irregularities reduced by 32%, amounting to savings of about 5.2 billion Ghana cedis. Also, due to the policies, guidelines, and the PFM measures implemented by the Ministry of Finance, about 99.26% of all irregularities identified in 2023 by the Auditor General are recoverable. The Ministry of Finance is working with the Internal Audit Agency, the internal audit units, and audit committees to recover these amounts. Mr. Speaker, this economy has been anchored on the entrepreneurial spirit of our SMEs over the decades. They employ 80% of our people and contribute about 70% to GDP. However, SMEs continue to have challenges regarding access to finance, widening skills gaps, limited access to technology and digital infrastructure, and regulatory constraints as well. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, the SME Growth and Opportunity Program, SME Go, has been launched to connect SMEs with resources, expertise, and opportunities. Altogether, we've mobilized about 8.2 billion Ghana cedis through Development Bank Ghana, Ghana Exim Bank, Ghana Enterprise Agency, and other partners for SMEs to grow and increase competitiveness in regional markets. We are grateful to the IFC for the $400 million and to the Africa Development Bank for the $45 million support provided towards this program. We will also continue our collaboration with key institutions such as the Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Ghana Commodity Exchange, the Venture Capital Trust Fund, GESAL, NEP, MASLOC, and YEA to support the SME ecosystem in this new era of SME development. Mr. Speaker, we prioritize the agricultural sector due to its far-reaching impact on the economy and livelihoods. To improve our food security, we are implementing the Enhanced Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2. Through this program, we introduced the input credit system and adopted technology-driven platforms, enabling farmers and value chain actors to operate transparently and efficiently. Mr. Speaker, to support the private sector in enhancing fish and aquaculture production, we've scaled up the supply of premix fuel since January 2024. Additionally, we are also partnering with private enterprises and are providing employment to about 10,000 people to expand and venture further into aquaculture. Mr. Speaker, government has remained focused on expanding the economic enclave projects under the Ghana Cares program. We secured 50,000 acres of land to ensure security of tenure and de-risk agricultural investments, thereby attracting private sector involvement in the cultivation of rice, maize, soya, poultry, grains, vegetables, and animal husbandry. At the Kusunya EEP in the Greater Accra region, government has taken significant steps to de-risk private sector operations for the cultivation of rice, including the completion of 18 kilometers of feeder roads from Topoli Junction on the main Accra-Ada road to the enclave, extension of 18 kilometers electricity to the enclave, development of a 20-kilometer irrigation canal for consistent water supply and year-round farming. Additionally, we have trained about 500 youths on agricultural entrepreneurship through a $6.1 million partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. These investments have
Honorable Minister, may you just have a short break. I will suspend.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sitting for 5 minutes. Take your breath, and I will ease up and come back in 5 minutes. Sitting is suspended for 5 minutes.
Welcome everyone, you're live on Ultimate 106.9 FM. It's another Saturday morning and we are here to take you to the fun side of life. I am here as usual with Aquapolo. What have we come to do this morning?
We have come and make them colorful.
This is the fun side of life, people. Tune in every Saturday morning. We are on.
Welcome to Moments of Glory, your number one entertainment lifestyle station, brings to you